is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a particular 2010 mixtape by Young Joc and Swagg Team. Basically, this product is called Swagg Team Mafia, the movie, and it came out somewhere in 2010. Now, the details about this particular product are kind of not within like the aspect of really being full bound, kind of known about, just within the fare behind it. I'd have to say just the pitch behind it is just the fact that back in the Dat Piff era and like the more internet archive bound type stuff within the pitch behind it, really it seemed like the release date was not as commonly paid attention to. I want to say it came out in the second half of 2010, just within the pitch, because there's some songs on here like Hard in the Paint remix and like Blowing Money Fast by Rick Ross. That Hard in the Paint by Waka Flocka, Blowing Money Fast by Rick Ross, they're just particular that brewed and came up in like the middle of 2010, the second half of 2010, so it's within the pitch as far as saying somewhere. I would have to say, probably guessing somewhere between like June of 2010 to about December of 2010, but I'm not really as full bound sure. I do remember looking this product up back in the day. Wikipedia used to say that it came out in January 2010, but that doesn't really make sense because some of the singles of this product weren't as full bound around us yet. So it's just within the pitch as far as saying I'm not as full bound sure. The concept behind it is just the fact that Young Joc was kind of in a brewing type stage, and also he had just recently dropped in like the mid-late summer of 2009. He had dropped the Grind Flu, so this is what he had moved on to. He created like a label called Swagg Mafia, or actually he had created like a sub-label called Swagg Team as far as this pitch going to happen. This is the product of like these folks that Young Joc was originally going to put on back in like the early 2010s. So this is a good pitch for that. It's a pretty bolstered type project to get here. It's basically a double CD mixtape as far as this is going to happen. If you want to purchase this particular product, it is available for free download, but within the pitch it has 26 songs on here, and at least 23 of them are songs. So it's just within the pitch. It's basically like a double album within the whoppingness of it. Some good aspects. This mixtape is going to get a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm not going to talk about every single song on here because out of the 23 songs on this particular mixtape, I wound up recommending 21. So it's just I wound up recommending 21. So there's really only 2 I didn't recommend, and really out of those remaining 23 songs, there's really only 2 that are mixtape types. There's really only 2 songs out of the 23 that are like mixtape typical type songs, like how Lil Wayne does with Dedication, some of those type fares. That would just be the Hard in the Paint remix and then Blowing Money Fast remix. So just within the pitch as far as what's first going to happen. So basically you're getting 21 songs, and yeah, I basically recommend 19 out of those 21 original songs. So just within the pitch, some excellent type fare. Going to get this here. Young Joc really knocked this out of the park. He's not on every single song, but it's just an excellent type pitch to be able to get this here. Just a good concept. But basically, the thing about how this particularly works is it has a lot of flavor of like the Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka kind of mixtape drill type format, but not every single song is within that. But it's just kind of a weird conduit, just because Young Joc was more a product of like the mid 2000s and late 2000s. He had started to kind of harrow off a bit by the time he got to 2009's The Grind Flu. That one was kind of like I did thoroughly enjoy that particular product, but it was just kind of the concept. It just felt like Young Joc had kind of drifted back into hardcore type territory. I mean, he still had the budget to get folks like Gucci Mane and Bobby V and Nicki Minaj and some of those type folks, but it's just kind of within the pitch as far as saying that the chart appeal days of like It's Going Down and I Know You See It and like First Time and Patron and some of those type ones was probably, not to say full bound over, just hand over fist, but it's just kind of the concept of the charting days were just seemingly not there. But I look after this is just kind of a conduit that really embraces like the mixtape drill type format and just the overall early 2010s trend as far as what's first going to happen. It nails it with pretty good finesse and overall flair as far as doing it. It's just a good type concept. You would think that this was something that would have been brought to you by Waka Flocka and Lex Luger and Southside and some of those type folks around that particular time, because it just revels in that particular product and does it with an extreme fashion. So it's just good type context to getting that. Young Joc sounds right at home with some of these, and there's some new type variations. Like there's one particular song on here called Hello, where the particular aspect about it is this is like a drill rap type song like Hard in the Paint, but this has like a pop rap type feel about it, just with like a hook by a different cat on here as far as this fair is going to have. So some good type pitch to get a lot of these. It's really been able to say that this is just a whopping knockout kind of a mixtape. Now, the thing, like I said, the biggest name on here is probably Young Joc. I mean, Waka Flocka does show up on at least one song on here as far as this fair is going to happen, but for the most part, a lot of these folks are less noteworthy. A lot of these folks are less bigger names within the pitch behind it. I did at least manage to catch that there was like a cat on here named like Sean as far as those pitches kind of happened, but apart from that, it just didn't have as much full bound kind of distinguishment. But I did at least notice that Princess from Crime Mob is on here at least once. There might have been like a few other folks to be able to say. Tyga's on here once on the song Groupies. Unfortunately, I don't recommend that song. But just be honest, the game is on a song that was also on his Break Lights mixtape from 2010. So there's some folks on here. There is at least one Hot Styles song on here, which is too bad that they didn't have more on here. But Hot Styles, they're kind of tricky to find just because they kind of evaporated for some reason. They used to be one of Young Joc's early affiliates with songs like Lookin' Boy and some of those type ones, but they're not really on here as full bound. It's the pitch behind that. I still want to review some of their projects if I can find them. But for the most part, most of these names is this kind of concept that it's not super huge on like the names on here, but it is enough of like an official type product that it does have the budget pitch like that. So it's not, and even if it were low key, this is still a knockout within those fairs. So just being able to say to the product. So yeah, so basically to say that, the only two songs I don't recommend out of the 23 on here would just be Groupies and Carousel, which basically Groupies was just a rewrite of like a Young Joc song that he did off of Hustlenomics, one of those type summary type ones. Was just kind of a retread of that. I like the Lil Wayne sample on the song, but just the affability of that particular one just didn't nail like the particular summer kind of vacay vibe that it probably needed to. It was just a little bit, felt a little bit triter than probably like the concept of it. I like the pitch behind it, but just the affluence, it didn't feel as like vibey as what it probably needed to for like some summer embalming pitches like that, I had to say. And then Carousel was just the worst type version of like a song by like West Side Connection, which is called Gangstas Make. Worst variation of the song Gangstas Make the World Go Round had the same type of production as that particular one, but just didn't nail it as full bound as well as within those pitches. So this kind of concept there. This aspect wasn't the same, but yeah, this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. 21 out of 23 is just blistering within the appeal behind us. That's excellence of this particular product. But just talk about some of these briefly. Basically, Young Joc handles the two remixes in like a dedication type format by Lil Wayne with like Hard in the Paint, Blowing Money Fast. Both of those are pretty good within a swag rap type sense. It's a good pitch for that. Young Joc does pretty well. I mean, it's interesting to get like a swag rapper on a song like that's like such a heavy hitting drill song. Kind of felt like Young Joc was almost out of his element, but it's just a good type pitch that he has the ability to do it. He's not really a thunderous type rapper when you think of like Waka Flocka, Gucci Mane, Rick Ross. Rick Ross managed to translate to it pretty well. It's just kind of with the pitch. Not that Young Joc doesn't translate, but it's just kind of the pitch that, I don't know, it kind of feels like a clashing of time zones as far as this pitch can happen, but I definitely enjoy it. It's just the pitch behind. Young Joc has the ability to be on drill type songs. It's kind of a pitch that, you know, for folks that remember Young Joc from 2005, 2006, is kind of the pitch of seeing him on these particular elements, and then just kind of the concept that, you know, just the fact that 2006 was not just 5 minutes ago, but 15 minutes ago, or within that relative frame of saying that within a hit factor as far as this pitch kind of happens. So it's just kind of the concept. Young Joc somehow was kind of a relic within those particular times, but he still was filthy rich in pitches like that, so some good type tones. But I look after it. So I'm really only going to talk about 10 of these 21 songs as far as those pitches going to happen. I mean, really the concept about it here is it probably wound up being like a 35, 45 minute review if I were to talk about all 19 of these songs that I recommend within the pitch. So I'm just going to talk about 10 of these to get to some of the ones. Now, I'm not going to designate every single one that Young Joc's not on. I'll at least attempt to say some of the ones that Young Joc was on from what I remember, but for the most part, there are some other folks on here, just folks from like the Swag team. It's not like they handle the abilities of these within a good fashion of it, but it's just kind of concept that they're not in every one. But yeah, boys, like a nice one here. This is a song that does have Young Joc on it. It's like a Cretinous kind of big city embrace kind of get here, just tripping out from like the smokage I'd had to say about this one. Just some paranoia, but kind of a lively song in the mix of that. As far as those first can happen, just an overall hot one. This one reminds me of like a song by Royce the 5'9", like the Writer's Block type song, just something that really feels like you're tripping out. Something like King Gordy, just a more operatic type one within the pitch. Kind of an interesting type flair to kind of get this one here. So it just really feels like you're bugging out a little bit within the concept of having some smokage in your system, but still being within the social outs of just like the typical type fare, just having to get shit done as far as those pitches kind of happen. So it's just good conduct to kind of having some moments just kind of within maybe like the concept of just maybe not necessarily full bound bugging to the point where you're just sweating bullets and just out of sorts, but just kind of the concept of just really kind of some relative kind of typical kind of 3-6 paranoia within some of those type pitches, just night runs pitches like that, just in a more big city type fare. So it's good type fashion for that. Like I was saying, Hello is a real nice one. This is one that has Young Joc on here. It's like a good drill rap. Hello is like a good drill rap song transformed into like a pop rap blitzer. I'd have to say, just like Mixtape Flocka, I'd have to say about this one. It slaps pretty well. Good type pitch. So it's just like a song like Hard in the Paint. Some of those type ones, Love the Gun Sound. Some of those type pitches that Flocka was doing all over the place throughout 2010, 2011. Good type pitch. Just Young Joc, one of these type songs, just just is nailed pretty well. The R&B singer on this particular song does pretty well on it. There's also another one, I'm not going to talk about this one with the description, but another one that has some pretty good blitz appeal would be Baby Baby. This is a real nice balance of one to kind of get here. Pretty much has one of the best hooks on this particular mixtape, so I do recommend that one. Young Joc he helps with the background vocals on that particular song, so it's just a good, nice one. If you do want some chart appeal and just a little bit more kind of embellish of like something that has a little bit more radio gloss about it. So Baby Baby's a nice one as well. Blowing Money is a nice one here. It's like a Texas flavored kind of nightclub bounce kind of get. Just the basic ambience that I had say in a two-step kind of mingle and drink as far as those pitches kind of have. So this just feels like something Pimp C would have done had he been around in 2010. Something that Bun B, some of those type folks would have done pitches like that. Folks like Big KRIT and folks of that relative fair. Some of that particular Paul Wall, Slim Thug, Kiki, Lil Kiki. Paul Wall, some Thug, Lil Kiki, some of those type of folks just with the pitch behind it. Just like the Texas fried type flavor about that one. Just particularly something to sip syrup to, or not to recommend syrup, but just with the pitch, sip some drink to as far as this person can have this real gnarly kind of Texas flavor. The song You Ain't All That's a quality one. Now this is one I think that has Princess from Crime Mob on here. Yeah, it's a pretty good pitch. Has her on there. There's like a glissy kind of night product to kind of get here. Just some mixtape drill flavor about this one. Just a Lex Luger type commerce within the pitch. So it's just kind of the concept of just being in the whip pitches like that. 5:30, 5:45, 6:45 p.m. Some of that type fare. Just like a slog kind of evening just in the pitch, but still having that excitement. Not quite like a full bound kind of get gnarled type song like songs like Hello and I Give a Damn and some of those type ones. And Wowzers where you're amidst like the night venue, more amidst like the blitzing type, stunt type of feel, but just within the concept of just being in drill type mode, just within a little bit more commerce in mind, where just there's a few more moments of just like traversing pitches like that. It's kind of the concept of just maybe a little bit of after work shift type traffic within the pitch behind it, but just kind of the concept of getting to flip mode type pitch within that as far as those fares going to happen. So just to say, if you need a Waka Flocka type feature to get him back on some of that type style, Waka Flocka actually is on the song Play Money, which is an excellent type fare. It's one of the more dynamite type songs on here. I mean, this whole album's dynamite, but this within pitch. So Play Money is like a heroin kind of 3-6 Mafia style night outing to kind of get here, just a snack run kind of hell goodies song I'd have to say within this. Good song to toke to. Play Money is just typical kind of night weavings as far as those first going to happen. Just night surfing within the pitch behind it, picking up burritos, some of those type pitches, snack runs, Chex Mix, corn nuts, some of that particular type fare just in the pitch behind it. Just getting a fair amount of goodies, box of beer, some of that type fare just within the pitch. Like the night product and miss as far as those first going to happen. Just good type feature. Get Waka Flocka feels just like some of his particular type fare. Middle Fingers is a nice one. It's like a jangled kind of in-between commerce kind of get here. Just Middle Fingers like some jangled kind of in-between commerce crusades kind of get here. Just another song to grab supplies to. Just kind of a snappy song within the pitch behind it, and some fun saunter kind of get within those aspects. So it's just kind of the same product of You Ain't All That, but just not quite as mean mug type music. Just more within the affluence of having a relative groove of a time. Just some good type product of just like some spiffiness just with an aspect behind it. Just kind of in-between type moments. Get some errands done within some of those type pitches, but just kind of the concept of having fun within it. Just extra time to kill within some of those type fares. Just kind of the concept of just like a moment where it's like kind of as like a breather from like the typical old fashioned like a hustle day or typical blue collar kind of work shift, but just within the pitch of just still being within a cruise around just to have some times, but not quite as full bound kind of within the get tore up type mode. It's just kind of the concept of just possibly just in a more bustling type mode, but just really just a sauntering type song within the pitch. So it's just kind of the product of just being a busybody, but just kind of living and just having some quick times as far as this pitch can happen. Good type fare. Wowzers is a quality one. Now this is a Young Joc song. This is one of the first songs I listened to off. This is probably a real nice one. It's like a gnarled kind of head trip to kind of get here. Just a new era kind of drummer boy kind of social goings about this one. I'd have to say it's interesting production just because drummer boy was not really as full bound. He kind of got rubbed out a little bit by the time he got to 2010 compared to how he was when he was in like his prime in 2007, 2008. Some of those type fares. So it's an interesting time beat here. Just some venue fun I definitely have to say about this one. Just kind of an uncommon hitter. It's just kind of the pitch. This is the product of what I was talking about with Young Joc kind of being in mid-late 2010 as far as those fares going to happen just between Young Joc and Drummer Boy. Some of these type folks just feel like more of like not necessarily full-bound relics, but just kind of within that particular time period, just like 5 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago as far as those pitches going to happen. Just kind of a conduct that it just seemed like Drummer Boy was not getting nearly as much attention as like Lex Luger and Southside and 808 Mafia, some of those type folks, 2010, 2011. It's just a good type pitch. It's a great Get Stone song within the pitch, but it just feels like within the concept, it just feels kind of secondary within the pitch. Not to say it in terms of quality, but just within the pitch as far as saying the secondariness of it just doesn't have the immediate kind of it it factor compared to that particular time. But it is a great song. It's in the pitch, some great smoke moments kind of have. It's kind of in between type moments. You just kind of have your head jangled, pitches like that. Just some good venue embrace and ambience just in the pitch behind it. It's real nice blitzing type one. Just a late era kind of drum and boy type production really hits within the aspect. This feels like something ripped out of late 2007, 2008, but just in a more pitch of just way out in like mid-late 2010. It just has that appeal. Feel Like is a nice one as well. It's like a typical kind of early 2010s stunt tune kind of get here. Just a good primer for some IG life. I'd have to say about this one. Just some good snaz about it. Just kind of a glitzy night. Feel Like this feels like a factory kind of dap piff type tune within the pitch, something that you would have gotten from like Meek Mill or Waka Flocka, Rick Ross, Yo Gotti, some of those type folks. It feels like an in-between kind of mixtape cut, just a stunt type song that was basically, when I was saying like a primer for IG life, just kind of the pitch is something that IG life would have for like their stories and stunt type moments in like 2015, 2016, but just more of like a mid 2010 type version of that, just like early bird for that particular style, just a good stunt type song and just glitzy type night kind of have within those pitches. I Give a Damn is a nice one here. This is another Young Joc type one to kind of get within those aspects. Good song on here to get this one. It's like a blitzing kind of new era Young Joc. I'd have to say good buzz single for him as far as those pitches kind of happen. Typical kind of Ryler, I'd have to say, just like the 2000s days as far as that Young Joc kind of fair kind of happens. It's just like some swag rap to kind of get here. So this is just one where Young Joc kind of gets met halfway between the pitch of having some new era type styles, but just with the product of like things that you know and love Young Joc for as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just one of those type ones where he kind of riled people up, like songs like basically like It's Going Down and Patron and some of those type ones and Fuck You Pay Me, some of those type pitches that you remember by Young Joc from like the product of like the mid 2000s, early from like the mid late 2000s pitches like that when he was more with Nitty and folks like that. It's really too bad that Nitty wasn't on here. I feel like Young Joc, it should just be kind of like a tradition for Young Joc to at least have at least one Nitty production on here just to see what they could do just in the mix. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's full bound strange in terms of like being a critique of it, but it's just kind of the concept. I feel like there definitely need to be far more kind of Young Joc and Nitty type productions. I mean, he was at least on the grind flu, but it wasn't in like the typical kind of single type format like It's Going Down, some of those type pitches. I think Nitty would have been a really interesting aspect to have gotten on here to see what he could have done. It's nice to get Drum Boy on one of these type songs. I like the drill type sound on here, but it would have been a good pitch to see what Nitty could have done way out in 2010. Would have been good type pitch, but I Give a Damn is like a good buzz single. It's just the pitch behind that. So it's just basically like getting, I Give a Damn is basically like getting 2006 Young Joc on like a 2010 type format of like the styles that were going on around that time. So it's a good type pitch there. Exclusives is a pretty quality one as well as like a vintage kind of early 2010s mixtape bubble to kind of get within those aspects. Just get turned definitely about this one. Just productive and wired kind of heater to get within those aspects. So just kind of a minor hustle type song within the pitch behind just kind of the product, just like some good product or just like endorsements, pitches like that, some of that type fair just in the aspect of this talking about. It's kind of money get type song within the pitch. Also, a song to be wired to just with an aspect, just the frenetic type one. One of those type ones that Jeezy would kind of do just with like the turn up factor of just really getting to like the hustle and grit of it as far as those fairs going to happen. Just kind of a product of just wide awake within the night type fashion, just demon time kind of liveliness as far as those aspects going to happen. Just some good traditional kind of trap or die type mindsets within the pitch as far as those fairs going to happen. So it's a good type tone. I think I talked about every other song on here that I was going to talk about out of these 10 as far as those fairs going to happen just within the pitch behind it. Actually, I don't know if I talked about Wild. I'll talk about Wild as well. Wild is like a neighborhood surfing kind of Roscoe Dash style kind of early night primer. I'd had to say neighborhood is kind of like a neighborhood surfing kind of Roscoe Dash style. I'd had to say about this one, just an early night primer for some get hammered type mentalities. I'd say about that and a good song to flip to as far as those pitches can have. So just one of those type ones. This feels like all the way turned up. Some of those type pitches ripped out of 2010. Just more of that Roscoe Dash type hooks. Just in the fair like some good recreational kind of embrace and just like some kickback of just after work shift kind of relief as far as those fairs can happen. A little bit more kind of frolic within this particular one compared to like the usual kind of mixtape drill type ambience and just more commerce within the pitch, but this is a good type product that just gets some of that Atlanta type sound within the pitch, like some standard kind of just cut loose a bit, like in a more just frolic and just kind of more rambunctious type sense just in the pitch. So some good type tones. So just very trendy within the affluence. Did a lot of good blitzing type moments. There are some other ones on here, like I was saying, just within the pitch as far as talking about some of these, like the Hot Styles song, which is Hot Looking Babes, a pretty trendy type one. They were kind of doing more of that particular type sound of like LMFAO type style and pitches like that. 303 LMFAO, some of that basic bass thump of like some nightclub type heaters. Like I really think Hot Styles probably would have been a lot larger had they just not deleted all their works and pitches like that. They definitely had some excellent type moments. They were pretty dynamite at getting like these trendy kind of meme type songs within the pitch as far as like those kind of more internet rap and just more fashionable type ones just within a trendy sense. They had some good moments. Hot Looking Babe's one of those. Young Joc is kind of mildly on that particular song. Music, the song simply titled Music is just a pretty good evening product within some of those type pitches. Just more typical kind of trap ambience like that evening song as far as those fairs going to happen. Trying to think of some other ones on here, like No Limit remix. I'm not sure if this was like a Master P production, but I do like the particular production fare upon this particular one. This typical type format. This might be a third remix apart from Harden the Paint and Blow Money Fast, but it's just good type pitch. Gonna get this one here. Some further type products. Just another it's another typical kind of Atlanta sound type boiler within the pitch behind it. And then the song Do It Big from like the game's mixtape Break Lights is pretty good as well. Now back in those days when I reviewed that particular mixtape back in 2022, I didn't recommend that song as much, but basically it's just like a Biggie tribute in like a typical kind of bass thump type format. Just something that you would have gotten with like hella bass, something within the aspect of dislike, something that just feels like turned down for what like Lil Jon, some of those type fares that just really has like, you know, songs like a song by Sight like Gangnam Style, and songs like some of those type fashions Gangnam Style, and songs like Gangnam Style, and songs by like LMFAO and some of those type pitches, just songs that relative type format just nails the particular aspect of doing a lot of those. So it's a good type pitch, just maybe not as thunderous within the aspect, but a good, pretty good mixtape buzz type single that has more commercial appeal than it does in just in the pitch. So it's a good type product. The game is on this song more than Young Joc is, but it is some good type appeal to be able to get this one. So that's another type product. That particular mixtape by the game came out in August of 2010. So I do think it was somewhere within like the second half of 2010 as far as this first going to happen, because I don't think the game was full bound. I don't think he made that song back in like February, March 2010. So it's just within the pitch. But yeah, there's plenty of these hits on here just in the aspect. Young Joc's on here enough times. He is actually on here more than a few times. Not like he's just on one or two songs. He actually does more than present this product. He helps out quite a bit, and he anchors this particular. He helps out quite a bit, and he anchors this particular product pretty well. So it's just within the pitch. This mixtape is a 10 out of 10. The social score I'll go ahead and give like probably like a 9.75, 2 out of 10. I look within the pitch, some excellence type here to be able to get. I mean, this definitely has the hits on here. I just feel like maybe it didn't have a single, something like that, just in the pitch. I mean, it definitely has the trendiness type factor. I don't know. I guess I could go ahead and give this mixtape like a 10 out of 10 social, because I just look after nailing 21 out of 23 songs. It's making a double mixtape and having that many hitters just within the aspect is just pretty blistering. It has the trendy type factor, the drill type songs, the pop rap hooks, songs like Hello and Baby Baby, some of those type ones, and Do It Big. These are some pretty good commercial type ones. The Hot Looking Babe by the Hot Styles group is pretty excellent as well. That's some pretty immediate type fashions. I feel like the I Give a Damn song by Young Joc's pretty good buzz single for Young Joc around that particular time. Wowzers is pretty good. It's the late era kind of drum and boy, so it's just some good type pitch to be able to get some of that. Play Money has pretty good Flocka feature for like some 3-6 Mafia kind of snack runs. So it's just in the pitch. There's plenty of good chart appeal within the pitch. I mean, this may seem more commonly ignored just within the pitch just because the product of this Young Joc kind of being an afterthought way out in 2010. And the rest of these folks not having a harrowing enough name to really be able to make a huge amount of splash or noise, but still within the concept that the excellence is definitely there. So just what I'd say as far as that fair kind of having is good blistering type of feel. So I'll give the social score a 10. So in terms of the future, like Young Joc has not been around since like probably 2012. I mean, he's dropped songs and singles, pitches like that, some of that type format. He might have dropped like mixtapes past 2012. He might have dropped mixtapes past 2012, but really Wikipedia has not listed them since like his 2012 project, which is called Bitch I'm Joc or something like that. So it's just from the pitch as far as saying there might be more just in the product. I'll have to look around for it. But nowadays, Young Joc's information is kind of low key and it's just not as commonly known. He's quickly becoming more of like a relic and afterthought as far as what's first going to happen. So it's just from the pitch. But yeah, this is a classic mixtape here. Definitely recommend tracking it down just from the pitch. It has plenty of blistering type hits. I wouldn't pay attention to the fact that it may not seem as casual because there is definitely some dynamite on here and it's worth sifting through.